Hey, everyone. It's Aaron, and welcome to the Freedom Frequency live stream today. It has been a while since I have done a stream, and maybe I'll try to get you caught up on everything that's been going on. It's been kind of crazy, but again, we are here because I've done another search on YouTube to see who else has been out there spinning a web of lies when it comes to PMAs, and we found another one. So as you can see in the beginning, I had the good old Yard Stream live comment thing showing up there. It's been a while since I've done a live stream, so if anybody does jump on today, not that I'm expecting it because I have been so inconsistent lately, hey, if you jump on, great. We'll see your questions on there. So hopefully we don't hear too much more noise in the background. We got somebody watching. Let us know where you're watching from. Great that you are here. So as always, I try to bring you the truth, and I should have put my tablet on vibrate. So now I'm going to listen to that. So hopefully the mic isn't picking it up. But anyways, I'll be sharing my screen in a second. We have yet another person on YouTube who's come out and is pitching more of the same old misinformation when it comes to the private membership association. So I got a little jingle for that today.
Fake news, and he repeated fake. You are fake news. This is fake news.
All right. So what do I mean by that? Let me start off and share my screen here. And by no means am I putting these people down. Am I, trying to be derogatory towards them? But I've talked over the last 4 or 5 years doing this now, meeting with people, debating at the Road Food Conference against those over at Pro Advocate. It's one of those things where we consistently get people that come on here and they take stuff from other websites. They take things that are false. They try to manipulate things so it makes their product or whatever they're trying to sell look good. And we have that again here. And I feel that after talking with so many people, myself, the ladies over at the PMA Manifesto. Yeah, I was going to say East Coast PMA, but the PMA Manifesto. And hopefully, I think we're going to get back to our calls in August. It's just one of those things where we've all been kind of busy with a lot of stuff going on. And I'll get into that later on in the show. And so I just feel like it's something that I have to do. I have to bring up this stuff when I see it and the stuff they're saying is false. And I just don't want to see people spend good money on what they think they're getting a PMA when we know from past videos that term PMA doesn't exist in the law, I guess is the best way to put it. It's a term that's kicked around online. They're really unincorporated associations. So, hopefully, if you do have a comment, I can see it. I'm not wearing my patch today, but that doesn't mean my eyes any better. Actually, it looks pretty bloodshot today. So that being said, let's pull up the screen here. Let me unmute so we can hear some of the audio. All right. So this is their YouTube channel. It is called Freedom Law Group, right? So right off the bat, rather, you're just like, wow, Freedom Law Group. All right. So what kind of stuff do they have going on here? These guys might be what I'm looking for. Constitutional base, common law stuff. Let's get to it. Let's get more of our freedoms and liberties back. So we click on their description here, and I don't know if you can see that, but basically they go into that they're out of Casper, Wyoming, which is a great area. Actually, I almost moved out there from Connecticut, but I didn't want to uproot all the kids. And now I'm just in the trenches here, politically wise, trying to save a state. But anyways, they go on to say that this is not a law firm and has no affiliation with the American Bar Association. We are organized as a private member association, operating under the protection of the Bill of Rights, claiming all of our rights, especially the rights to freedom of speech and assembly. This information should not be construed as tax, financial, or legal advice. Our videos are for educational purposes only. And that's usually what I say. And I forgot that disclaimer that this is not tax or legal advice. It's just one person's thought on the topic. Do with it what you may. So one other thing I want to notice here is that They joined November 23rd of 2024. Okay, keep that date in mind. We're going to look at some other dates too. So they have a bunch of stuff here on taxes. Now, the only person, if I was to dip my toe into the tax protest arena or ring or gauntlet, whatever you like to call it, would be Dave Merlin, the guy I've had on here before. He's the real deal. He writes really good pleadings. He is self-taught. He's done the time, so to speak. He's fought these people. And he'll even tell you now it's you know, do what you can to pay as least amount of tax as possible. So I would always tell everybody, get a side hustle, get a side business, sole proprietorship, an unincorporated LLC out of Wyoming, which I think are great, anything like that. So you can take those tax deductions legally and pay less in taxes. So we go down through their stuff and they have a video here somewhere on PMAs. They got lies about the 16th Amendment, blah, blah, blah. Understanding jurisdiction. I haven't watched all these. That one I have to watch. That one sounds interesting. The Freedom Package. Now, a lot of these videos are anywhere. Oh, they got a 2-hour one here. So that's an audio book. So that's interesting. 2 hours there. I haven't listened to that. I missed that. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, but most of them are like, 14 minutes, somewhere around there. Where is the PMA one? I know it's here. I know it. I've seen it. Well, if it's not here, it's on their website. I know it's come up before. Anyways, this is their YouTube page. So let's go over to their website, right? So here's their website. Looks good. Whoever did it did a decent job. It's got their social links, phone number, email. So you have your services. So here we go. We got we're going to skip a lot of this tax stuff. I really don't want to get into this just because it's a lot of the same old concepts that we've heard before, that taxes are voluntary. You don't have to pay them. And I got my notes down here I'm looking at, but as far as I understand it, and I guess I should put this disclaimer out too. Since AI has been around, Perplexity, OpenAI, I don't really Google stuff anymore. I put it through there now that it has like links back to where they get the resources from. So some of this stuff is from AI that I've asked questions. I went and checked out the resources, that sort of thing. So I always like to be upfront with everybody on that. But what I found was that under US law 26 USC Section 1, 612, 1651, individuals who meet certain thresholds have a clear and equivocal, that's easy for you to say, legal obligation to file federal income tax returns and pay required taxes. IRS Form 1040 is not an election. It is required reporting form to comply with federal laws. And he or she, whoever owns this, goes into some of the typical stuff we've heard that we've talked about with Dave Merlin before, back years ago now, about how, you just send him an affidavit. You don't have to file anything after that. And, that might be good. But as David said, and others that we've had on here, mostly David, that it's a frivolous tax argument and these people lose in IRS tax court all the time. So anyways, that being said, we're talking PMAs, but I just wanted to throw that out there. And again, none of this is really based on any legal basis as far as I'm concerned. But again, we're all grown adults. You do with it what you want. So I'll play a little bit of this. Hopefully this audio comes through. Let me just turn this up. Hopefully it's not too loud in your ear. Okay, so right there, I'm going to tell you, I use voice over AI stuff. Unless you're cloning your voice, that is definitely AI voice. I've used it for some other podcasts that I'm helping get off the ground for some national speakers. And the commercials that we run in it were all done through different AI voices because I don't have a voice to do voiceover work. And I don't know anybody that does voice. Well, my father-in-law, I think, still does it. But the point is it's a lot easier, faster, sometimes cheaper. But again, this is AI voice, which is fine. I have no problem with that if that's what you want to use. But just so if you're not familiar with it, maybe you don't dabble with the AI like I do, you wouldn't know that. No taxes. Okay, well, we know that right there, right off the rip, is a bunch of what's the word I want to look at? Yeah, a bunch of BS, I guess, because we know from other videos that we've done, we've talked about that there is still a requirement to file taxes if you have a unincorporated association. It is taxed as a partnership in most areas. Again, check your area if you're going to have an unincorporated association. But just because you have this private association, this unincorporated association, whether it's the Moose Lodge, Elk Lodge, Freemasons, it they still all pay taxes. So, um, but yeah, okay. So there's that. All right, now let's keep going. Now, some of that is true. Yes, there is less regulation as long as you're not breaking the law. Now, if you're breaking the law in your association, guess what? You're going to be held to the standards of anybody else. If they were breaking the law, you're going to have to deal with those issues. So we actually got a few people watching, so that's cool. Thank you. It's been a while, so I don't know if you're new, if you're old, if you've been here before, first time watching, but feel free to leave a comment and we'll get it up on the screen. And if it's a question, I'll answer it. If you just want to say hi and let me know where you're watching from, that's cool too. All right, let's continue a little bit more here. Okay, right. We do have the right to assemble, right? We have the right of association. That's completely correct. We have our First Amendment rights. We have all that stuff. That's true. But as you listen to how they talk, and as you go here, we're not going to listen to much more because you can just scroll down and see word for word what the AI voice is reading, because it's all right here. They make it sound like, and this is what a lot of them do, that you can have this association and now you're above the law. You don't have to answer to anybody and you can do whatever it is you want within your association. And we know that that's not true. Um, there are, you do have the right to have a contract. You can have your bylaws, your articles of organization. You can have your membership agreement. We know that there's the courts recognize a fundamental right of uh, freedom of association privately without undue government interference. We talked about NAACP versus Alabama in like 56, 58, somewhere around there. I don't know the exact date off the top of my head. So yes, there are those things, but where they go wrong is they start making it sound like you can do whatever you want. So this begged me to look a little bit more into this group. So let me see. So we go down here, you can put in your information. And this is just, you don't even talk to anybody. It looks like you just put in your name, your email, your address, and you pay for formation services $997. So I mean that's a good deal. I don't know what it's going to be. I mean that's less than what I charge, but it is more than our DIY documents we have. So great. We got 4 people on. Feel free to pop in a comment if you want. It'd be great. There's nothing under the private chat, so I'm going to go back to the regular comments. If you got a comment, drop one. If you want to say hi, that'd be great too. So um, yeah. So, okay. So after completing your purchase, you'll be directed to our PMA intake questionnaire. That's cool. Good way of doing it, I guess. I personally like talking with people, and that's why we do the consultations still to this day. So then it has some other information here. Where is, let me go back to home and let me see here. All right. Become a legal non taxpayer. Do it at your own risk, as far that's what all I'm going to say. Um, That must be the guy that runs the website there. So I wanted to go to the review. So this was something that caught my attention. Now, granted, I could be wrong. I am from time to time wrong, and my wife reminds me of it. But here's one: Larry H, 68 years old, hasn't filed income taxes since 2018. Right. So let's keep an eye out on some of these other dates. The other one for the Facebook or the YouTube page was November 23rd of 2024. Okay. So I think there might be some other dates in here. Let's take a look. Or maybe that was the only one. So anyways, as you can see, there's some great reviews, all 5 stars, so that made me, I didn't even go through there. No, they have an affiliate program. There we go. Member agreement. All right, we'll just take a quick look because now I'm just intrigued about what their member. Let's see here. It's not a corporation, LLC, lawfully, shared purpose, inherent rights, freedom of association. I should have taken this and run this through an AI recognizer to see if this was AI written. It kind of gives me that vibe. But anyways, so my point is when we're looking at this, right, is there's this cool website. You can go to Whois and you can find out the domain name. So here's the domain name. It was registered on 5/1/2024. It expires on 5/1/2026. And it tells you, stuff where people are, addresses, stuff like that. But that one quote here, or that one, what's the word I'm looking for? Recommendation, or the 5 stars here says that it was from 2018. So, granted, they could have been doing stuff back then, beforehand, but I really don't know because a lot of this stuff didn't pop up until COVID was going on, right? And so we had all that. So I really just think, and I hate to say this,
this is a bunch of scumbags.
and that's kind of what I think, it just, oh, I hit the mic there. It just, there's too many things that seem kind of fishy to me on here. Like it looks good, but one thing I will tell them, maybe they've watched a video of mine or two or somebody else's, or myself and the ladies, the PMA manifesto, but they don't have a lot of the same verbiage line for line, which is really good. So that kind of threw me off at first, because when you look at some of the other ones, they're like identical on like paragraph, line for line, that sort of thing. So yeah, I found that interesting. But the majority of this website has to do with not paying taxes. And I gotta send this over to Dave Merlin and see what his thoughts are on it, rather, and see what he thinks. I haven't talked to him in a while. I might have to put this in the Telegram group and see what he thinks. I'm just pulling up their terms of services. Yeah, this, I don't know. It's just, to me, it seems very, and now maybe they did use AI to create this, because I just did a website for a company, and I did most of it through AI prompts, which was amazing. So I cut down the time a lot faster. But anyways, again, this is just one of those things where it's interesting how another player has popped their head up, and is now selling these services. So again, it's just one of those things I want to warn people about. Like, you don't want to go out there and spend your money. Like, you're going to fill out a form, pay $997, and then you're going to go to an intake form. I've talked to people that have done stuff like that. They bought stuff from companies on the West Coast, and they were like, I paid all this money. We're talking thousands of dollars. It's not what I expected. It's not what I thought I was getting. I didn't really talk to anybody. And I spend hours on the phones with people. Again, now I charge for my time now, just because my phone during the COVIDs was all over the place. It wouldn't stop ringing, but we're still doing them. We just set one up in New York, and we got a couple more. It looks like Massachusetts might be coming on board with a few, but there's their video for PMAs, and it came out 7 months ago, and it's the same one I just played. So just a quick update on what's been going on around here. So I know I keep saying I'm going to try to get these more frequent, these live videos, but I've been tasked with helping 2 companies kind of get off the ground on the techie side of things, even though I don't really consider myself that much of a tech person. But we've got a podcast that I'm helping some fellas get off the ground. It's called Liberty Collaborative, and it's really kind of a political podcast where we really dissect what's going on in the news, and we really put a deeper dive into it, along with historical backing. So we back everything up with what we're saying, but we also bring in the historical aspect as to what Frederick Douglass, Lincoln, our founding fathers might say about what's going on. So I think we're 4 or 5 episodes in that. So it's fairly new. It's every Thursday we do an episode. I'm trying to convince him to do a live one, but we're still working out some audio issues here and there. So that's eating up a lot of my time. We've got local elections coming up in November. But the other big thing is if you're in the West Michigan area, there's a new radio station coming out, 103 The Bent, which is going to be talk music. So I'll have a show on there talking politics and that sort of thing, kind of going over what's in the news cycle and breaking it down a little bit and that sort of thing. But I really just still feel a strong pull towards, the quote unquote freedom community, whatever you want to call it. And it's just, I can't stand stuff like this. And that's why I check YouTube every once in a while, because that's where a lot of this stuff comes up. I should probably do some deep dives into Rumble and see what's on there. But it's just one of those things where I've talked to so many people over the last several years where they have had they've saved their money, they've gotten this, and then they got documents that somebody just copied from somebody else, changed out a few names. It was like, hey, here you go. Now, don't get me wrong. When I do my stuff, I have some stuff that I have, Word documents. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to retype the same paragraph 10 times. So I'll copy and paste. And there's some things like that. But majority ours, when we do them, it's for each individual person. There's some canned responses that are constantly in there, or boilerplate stuff rather is probably the better description for it. But it's one of those things where I can't stand when people just prey on people's fears. Like, yeah, would we all not like to pay taxes? Absolutely. Who wouldn't? And maybe that someday that'll come and we'll just have tariffs for everything. And, we won't be paying an income tax and stuff like that. But, I didn't even see, for ha-has, I got to go back. Let's just take a look at what the, tax reform package for teen and young adults. Notice, all right, so let's just do tax reform package, revocation of election. I just want to see what the price is in this. $997 again let me just share the screen here so you can see what I'm talking about. That would make sense. So you can see here it's $997 or $1,497 for a couple. Let's see what the other ones are. 197 if you're a teen or young adult. Like, I don't know. I'll let you guys all make your own decisions. But what caught my eye was actually their PMA stuff. And like I said, what threw me off initially is it wasn't very similar to all the other PMA's websites out there. And I got to go back and see. I should do a follow-up video and see how many of these are actually still in operation, and go from there. But I gotta move some things around here on my board. So I just think, I just wanted to bring it to your attention, let you know who's out there, who these people are, what they're doing. Some of the years don't add up. And again, maybe this guy was doing stuff back in 2018, who knows? But again, it's just one of those things where I don't know, maybe. But now all of a sudden we're hearing about you all these years later. So it kind of reminds me a lot, the whole PMA world or unincorporated association, or even like the freedom fighting community in general that are setting up, their homesteads. They've got their local groups. They're doing their prepping. It seems like it goes in cycles. It reminds me of like the Carlton Sheets real estate investing late night infomercial. Everybody's got some new Ron LeGrand. All these guys were selling some type of course that you're going to make millions in real estate and rentals and all this stuff. And people, they just kept selling the courses. And I'm sure there's a few people that made money and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it just, a lot of it feels like, hey, I'm just in it for a quick buck and then I'm out the door and there's, you're never going to hear from me again. So, so I think that's kind of where I kind of how I feel about that. So we've got actually 5 viewers on today. Well, that's pretty good considering I haven't done a live view in a long time. Oh, now down to 3. So I just must have offended somebody. That happens from time to time, people can only take so much of me, but let me know where you're watching from. We're probably going to finish this up doing about 30 minutes today. I think we're in about 24 minutes now. I would love to get some questions in here if anybody has any. It's just, again, one of those things, even with, the ladies over at the PMA manifesto, when we do our live calls, it's a lot of people getting out there and just frustrated because they've bought in these products from people. And they're like, well, I was told I could do this and I have a faith-based association, so I don't have to pay taxes anymore. And I'm like, well, no, that's not correct. If you had a church, like it says in the tax code, then yeah, you would fall under the 501c3A and you'd be tax exempt, but you have to meet a majority of the requirements. And we lay that all out in the PMA manifesto. And that's a conversation I seem like I have more and more often with people is, I want to be I want to be tax exempt. So now when I do my consultations, the first thing I ask now is, what are you trying to avoid? And that's usually it, because they've seen stuff like this. They've talked to other people. They've talked to one of the infamous Davids or Jose's, or all the players a couple years ago that were really pushing these things hard. I don't even know if some of those other groups are still around anymore. But it's one of those things where it's like, do you you really want to fight the feds and end up in Club Fed over this? Or do you just want to say, this is how it's written. I'm not going to try to manipulate this to make it sound like it's something that fits what I'm doing. So anyways, I just wanted to say thank you all for jumping on and watching. I was hoping to get a few comments. Not a big deal that we didn't. And here we go. A PMA for a lottery pool. I don't know. I don't know. And then watching from VA, yeah, appreciate it. I was in VA not long, was it 2 years ago now, a year ago? I don't know, the Rogue Food Conference down that way. Ended up in West Virginia by mistake. Anyways, that was a long drive. Beautiful area though. So a PMA for a lottery pool. Well, I really guess if you're going to have people come together and every month people are going to pay a membership fee to be into your association, and then it's written that, based on the number of people in your association, if you go out and buy a Powerball, right? Like say you got 100 people and they give $100 each, and you take that money and you go and you buy lottery tickets with it, and then you split it equally amongst the members. I don't know. I guess, I mean, I don't work for the department anymore, but when I did, we had people that would do that. We'd put money together and go out and buy lottery tickets and hope we wouldn't have to work another day in our life. So I guess, yeah, I wouldn't see why you couldn't do that. I don't think you're breaking any laws by bringing people together to buy money, to bring money together to buy lottery tickets. And if you do it and you set it up properly and you have all your ducks in a row and you win, let me know. I would love to know how that worked out. Maybe that's a thing, you could sell PMAs for people to pool their money to buy lottery tickets. I mean, it's not the craziest thing I've heard. Might actually work, now that I think about it. But I would look into it a little bit more. I don't know if there's any where you're from, or if there's any type of state statutes or anything like that you would be breaking. Like, I don't know if that really be considered. You're not running like a casino, like, a speakeasy, where they got the roulette wheel in the back and everybody's smoking cigars. So maybe, you could. I don't see why it would hurt. I mean, I don't even know if you really need a PMA for that. I think you can just get together with a bunch of your buddies and go buy lottery tickets and see how it goes. But thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I'm going to try to do a live video at least twice a month. That's my new goal. Hopefully it's always about associations. It might be about other things. I need to get some guests back on here. It's been a while, but the radio show is going to be from 6 to 9. That's going to be Monday through Friday. And then I do the podcast with Liberty Collaborative, host that on Thursdays. And usually we record about 10:30 in the morning to 11. It's usually out by 12. Along with this, it's on all your modern podcasting apps, your 2.0 podcasting apps, YouTube. I'll probably post this in the Facebook group. I'm not been really active in the Telegram group. There has been a few people that have asked questions in there, so it's been good. But yeah, just as always, reach out with questions. I appreciate the questions. And if I don't answer them on YouTube, don't be offended. It's just I don't always have the time to get in there and look at all the comments and stuff like that. So maybe we'll do that in the next video. It'll be a question and answer. I'll pull questions from YouTube and we'll answer those. But anyways, folks, thank you for watching. It was great getting some comments, bringing to light this new freedom law group, Liberating Americas from Tax Slavery, TM. So that's trademark, which I didn't get a chance to look to see if it actually was trademark. It might be, but yeah, just as I always say, buyer beware. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next episode.